Hey there everyone, this is Seamus from ScienceLogic, and today I'm going to demonstrate signing up for a new Zebrium account. And once it's set up, I'm going to ingest some logs into my new Zebrium account from one of my Kubernetes clusters by deploying a Kubernetes log collector. To get started with this process, I'm just going to go to zebrium.com and click on Get Started Free up here at the top right. If you're interested, we would love to hear from you. We'd love for you to schedule an onboarding session. This actually would be helpful for the majority of people because that way we can get you pointed in the right direction for any documentation or special integration material that would be specific to your use case. And we can save you a lot of time by giving you that information sooner rather than later. But for right now, I'm just going to go ahead and continue signing up. And here's the sign up page. So some information we need to get started. We need just a first name, last name, what company you work for. For company email, we are not accepting public email service provider email addresses. So we need like email address from your actual company that you have access to. And in this case, I'm going to sign up with one of my ScienceLogic email addresses. And there we go. Sign up succeeded. That was easy indeed. All right, so just click on the blue arrow. And just like that, my Zebrium account is set up and ready to use. The very first thing that's going to prompt me to do is to set up a log collector, which makes sense because Zebrium can't do anything without logs. And I want to send logs from my Kubernetes cluster, so I'm just going to go ahead and use the Kubernetes log collector. And to deploy it, all I got to do is edit and run this Helm command. There's two sections that we're going to have to edit here, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste this into a text editor. The two sections I need to change are Zebrium time zone and Zebrium deployment. So for deployment, it doesn't really matter too much what you call this. I'm going to call this Seamus dep because why not? What this parameter is doing is establishing what we call a failure domain boundary. And essentially all we're doing is we're explicitly telling the machine learning that logs from this log collector and logs from any other log collectors that we might set up that have zebrium.deployment being Seamus dep, all of these logs have something to do with each other, and the machine learning should try to compare these different log sources. And the reverse is also true. So if I set up another log collector somewhere else and I have the deployment name set to something other than Seamus dep, then I'm explicitly telling the machine learning to not try to compare these two different log sources. And the machine learning is not going to waste time trying to draw correlations across different environments that don't have anything to do with each other. Time zone, this is very important. So for our machine learning to successfully identify how events interact with each other over time, it needs to know what time things actually occurred. And we have parsing set up where if you have a timestamp that includes information about what time zone these events occurred in, we will use that. But a lot of times, a lot of applications will be logging with just arbitrary timestamps that don't specify the time zone. And when we run into those, we rely on this particular flag to say, hey, these are in UTC. In this case, my Kubernetes cluster is logging everything in UTC. So I'm specifying here that, hey, if you can't figure out what time zone an event occurred at, just assume that it's in UTC. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And I'm just going to paste this into my terminal. Excellent. So this is the exact output that we would want to see. The log collectors are being deployed and logs should appear in Zebrium portal soon. I can actually go ahead and check. Yep, perfect. This is exactly what I want to see. My collector pod is working. It looks like we are sending logs, and I can verify that in the portal by going to ingest history up here on the top right. And there we go. Looks like logs are successfully working their way into Zebrium and being processed. Now, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for us to process log events after we receive them, so check this page for ingest history after about 10 minutes after deploying your log collector, and you should start seeing ingest history very similar to this. I'm going to let Zebrium collect my logs for a while, and I'll be right back. All right, I've been sending logs for about an hour now, and this looks absolutely perfect. This is, let me move my head so I'm not blocking the graph. This is exactly like what I would expect a healthy log collector to look like. We're sending a fairly steady stream of logs. And as a matter of fact, if I go to my ingest, my alerts by clicking on the ZE logo up here at the top left, quick note about these initial suggested alerts. It takes about 24 hours or so for our machine learning to reach peak effectiveness in terms of understanding what an environment looks like. And so after 24 hours, I would expect the usefulness of suggested alerts to be significantly better than what they might be within the first hour or the first couple of hours. But the good news is all that machine learning stuff is completely automated and that's completely unsupervised. So there is nothing else for me to do as far as installation and configuration is concerned. All I have to do now is just sit back and relax. And when a problem happens in my environment, Zebrium is going to have a root cause report for me that's going to give me the exact log lines that I need to be able to fix it. So thank you so much. And please feel free to reach out if you have any questions.